The Tennessee Aquarium is in downtown Chattanooga, and one of our main goals is to connect people to nature, and specifically to the water in our backyard. So one of the things the aquarium does is a lot of conservation work here in our backyard and in the ocean far downstream of us to make sure that we are being good stewards of water, our most precious natural resource. It's no secret that our oceans are in trouble. It's no secret, actually, that worldwide we have a trouble with how we deal with water. Worldwide, fisheries are collapsing. About 30% of the fished species in the world are below 10% of their maximum population size. And one of the things that we influence the most about the world's ocean is what we choose to eat. One of the problems is that we're eating a lot of fish, but from very few species. We tend to eat from fish that we feel comfortable with, like salmon or tuna or swordfish, these very large species. And we just can't sustain the amount that we have to eat. We know that fish is healthy for us, we know it's tasty, it's part of our cultural heritage as well, but we have to be very careful in what types of fish we choose to eat these days. Here in Chattanooga, we were a little behind this conversation because we're so far removed from the world's ocean. We're an inland state, and we haven't really talked in Chattanooga yet about how we impact the fisheries based on our dining choices. And so the aquarium said, you know, it's time that we step up. We have a great local food movement that started here in Chattanooga, and it's time to include seafood as part of that discussion. One of the first things the Tennessee Aquarium decided to do was to recommend, as a simple first step, if you do nothing else, buy U.S. seafood. We have great management practices in the U.S. for our seafood, so we know that we have the regulations in place that help recover our fisheries that might be impacted. The other great thing is that U.S. seafood is labeled. There is a requirement in your grocery stores that the country of origin for your seafood has to be on the package. So it's really easy to go to the grocery store and look for a product of the U.S. label. And that's a really simple step in making sure that you're eating fisheries that come from a managed source. 70% of seafood that's consumed in the U.S. is sold in restaurants. So it's not just working with grocery stores, but working with restaurants that also is a really big factor in this program. And so we're proud that we have a number of Chattanooga restaurants that have worked with us on this program. And we don't require anything of them. We're not seafood police. Instead, we ask that they work with us to see what they can promote on their menus that is something that comes from the Serve and Protect program or that is sourced from the U.S.
We were asked to participate a couple years ago by the aquarium in its inaugural year. Being the aquarium and the motive behind it kind of very much matching the kind of beliefs that we have as a restaurant, it seemed like a very natural fit for us to want to support a program like that. You know, it is nice to be able to highlight those things that we have on the menu that are sustainable and let people know that the aquarium is putting forth the Serve and Protect program to enhance awareness of those kind of things.
When you visit here at the aquarium, you will see lots of these different seafood options on display, from summer flounder to rainbow trout to channel catfish to shrimp to lobster, so many different options. With each of these species, we have a little bit of information about just the background of the species, why it's sustainable, why it's a good choice. One thing that I think is important to highlight is that all sorts of different species are sustainable. So it doesn't matter if this is something that's coming from the Gulf, like our flounder species might be, or if it's something that comes right out of our backyard, like rainbow trout. And we're lucky in Chattanooga that we have Pickett's Trout Ranch, a farm that's just a county away from us. And they've been able to raise rainbow trout in captivity, feed them a largely vegetarian diet, so they're very low on the food chain. And then that's a locally grown fish that's provided to a lot of our restaurants and grocery stores in town.
Basically, I hatch and raise approximately 50,000 trout a year from the egg point where I have them shipped in from Washington State. Then I put them in my hatchery, hatch them. Once they get up to what's considered a fingerling size, about the size of your finger, then I bring them out and put them in my runs, which are concrete divided pools that allow me to control and move the trout and progress them as far as size until they're market ready, and then we sell to restaurants and markets.
Supporting him is one of the easiest things that we do because his product is incredible. And I think what What really makes it stand out is that he has, very high quality standards, and because he's local, it is incredibly fresh. He's butchering the fish and bringing it to you that day. So, several times a week we get orders from him, and that very night we're serving the fish that he's brought us that day, and it makes a difference.
Something we've seen in Tennessee in the past few years is a really vibrant local food movement has cropped up here in Chattanooga and around the state as well. So it's a lot easier now to hit your local farmers markets, meet the growers, and make sure that you're taking home produce that was grown in a way that you feel comfortable with. What's great about seafood is that this is a new way we can add to the food movement. It's hard to get locally produced seafood here in Chattanooga, but we do have options like rainbow trout, and this is one way that we can add to that discussion. What I'd like to see over time is a more broad understanding of the different ways that we impact our downstream neighbors, our upstream neighbors, both the fish and the human communities living amongst them. This is just the first step in where we want to head with watershed education. It starts first with understanding the products we get from the ocean, and then it slowly unfolds to where we understand the services that we get from the ocean and how we impact that in return through weather, through our climate, and through the many ways the economics of the Gulf region touches us here in Chattanooga. This is just one step in Tennessee's journey towards becoming a more sustainable state.